I'm sure he can survive for 50 minutes.
Yeah, but
you're supposed to only go for 30. So we like thought that he was going to get picked up
oh
by
my
like the
gosh.
rescuer. What's going on?
Keep going. Just
I can just wait.
yeah, cut this out. Cut this out.
It's just never about me, is it, Lynn?
Hi, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Lynn Biondolo.
Was so loud.
I'm just so excited to be here. I'm Lynn Biondolo, and I'm coming to you from Seattle. I'm back in Seattle, and it's so sunny again, so I'm so happy.
I'm Sam US. I'm coming to you from the Women's Game World headquarters. I'm back, finally home in Vermont after a week of traveling. Lynn, we have so much to tell everybody about, but Good Vibes FC is presented by our really great friends over at Olipop. So use code TWG20 for 20% off at drinkolipop.com. Today on the podcast, we're recapping our adventures in the past week, including my swim race in Tahoe and the U.S. Women's National Team PA Players Ball. Then we'll chat all things Euros. The semifinals are set. And finally, we'll share an email from Ty Lee about the timing of all of these regional tournaments. But first, Lynn, there's just so much to discuss. We've both been to LA. We've both been to Lake Tahoe. Should we just like start in chronological order from like the day we saw each other first?
Yes, back in 2014. I'm just kidding. Go. We've both been away from home for a week, and we got to LA together. Well, we didn't fly in together, but we were there.
Well, we went to LA for a workshop. The U.S. Women's National Team PA and the WNBA PA worked with QuickBooks to bring some players together to like learn about entrepreneurship and tools that you can use to like further advance your brand and marketing. It was kind of like, I'd call it like starting a business workshop for athletes. And so we met some WNBA players. Obviously there were other like soccer girls there, Midge, Tierna, Mandy McGlynn. And we like got to learn all this cool stuff from like USC professors and like other experts. And I had a really fun time, Lynn. What did you think?
I had a great time. I learned a lot. I feel like I was stressed at some point because it felt like we were at school and you were getting cold called.
I know they would literally stand at the front and point to you and be like, "What do you think about this?" And then you'd have to like answer. Like, remember he asked you, "What's a story?" And you were
Yeah,
like,
a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then I feel like there was a couple of times where we had an answer and he was like, "No, not wrong."
"I know that
I
happened to
was like,
me."
but what I thought was really cool about it is that like we got to learn from a couple professors, and then Allison Felix came in and talked about her business, and basically we got to, as a class, workshop some issues they're having in their business and some potential fixes. And then maybe they'll take them, maybe they won't, maybe they've already thought about things. But it was just a cool moment to like have a real life experience of like, oh, this is actually what businesses go through if you're looking to start one, and some problems you might face, and these are some solutions you might also have.
I agree. I thought it was really cool. I feel like I learned a lot. I like made sure I kept all of my like
Hmm.
materials that they gave us because I was like, I'm actually going to use this stuff. It's like so awesome. It was also really cool to do it with some WNBA players. And I feel like we like kind of got to meet and chat with them. Lynn and I ended up like being at the same table. So like obviously we kind of like did the whole workshop together, just us two, and like talked about the podcast a lot. But then we got to meet some WNBA players, which was awesome. And we made a TikTok with Midge and all the other girls where we all like showed what jewelry that we had on. And Lynn, we actually got an email about this because Becky wants to hear more about the rings. She said that you made one and Marley made you some. And then Becky wants to hear more. So can you just tell Becky a little bit more about that, please?
Okay, yeah, I'll show them into the camera too. So you'll have to watch this on YouTube. But okay, I don't know if you can see them, but I have these two rings. Um, my my parents are divorced, and so when they were getting rid of their rings, me and my sister said, "Well, don't do that. Give them to us." And so this ring, the sister got my mom's like main wedding diamond, and then I got my dad's and her like little diamonds. And so this ring is my dad's diamond in the middle, and then this one is some of my mom's extra ones, and then I have two more rings that are identical for like me and my sister. And I wear these two all the time. And I just went to a jeweler and basically sat down and said, I want my dad one to look more like masculine and the other ones to be more feminine. And then this one, Marley made for me. It's a marquee. And then the band has a little heart on it because love heart, duh. And then there's a little pear-shaped diamond and 2 other circle ones, and they match his ring. I just got with a jeweler on both of them and just discussed things that I wanted in there, and they send you a picture of what you think, and then you come back and you say, "Can you tweak these things?" And they send you another one, and so on and so forth, and I think they turned out great.
So cute. I like loved making that TikTok with Midge, and we got some feedback about it clearly. And now, Lynn, I feel like I'm on a content kick. I'm gonna like get to
Same.
this, everybody, but I'm putting content out there, everybody. Like get yourselves ready.
Same. Me and Marley are trying to put 1 TikTok out a day. So, like, I'm just out there doing things.
That's so smart, Lynn. I mean, honestly, did we not kind of learn this in our entrepreneurial workshop? Is like you gotta just do it.
Start. You just gotta start.
Huge shout out and thank you for like inviting us. We had a great time. And then Lynn, I wanted to tell this story really quickly. Later, after the workshop, we had our styling meetings for the players ball because the PA hired a stylist to like come in and like get us all dresses and like do our hair. We got our hair and makeup done and everything. So we did our styling meeting on Monday night, and I do need to tell everybody I wore the cutest green dress I've ever seen in my whole entire life. I didn't get to keep it. I had to give it back. But it was a journey to find it. Let me tell you
It's a
all.
journey.
It was a journey. I felt like for the first time in my life, I was being so high maintenance to the stylist and being like, I don't like anything. Nothing fits. Nothing looks good. It's not my style. And I felt really bad. And then I found this green dress and I was like, this is exactly what I want to wear. It's like the right material. It's like the right cut, but it was a small. They
Was it
and I put
small?
it on and zipped it up, and it was clearly too small, but, like, everybody was so desperate for me to, like, find a dress I liked that everybody was like, "No, no, no, like, you can fit into it, and, like, you can wear it." And I was like, "Guys, I'm probably a large. I'm definitely not a small, and a medium would probably be fine." But I, like, went into the day of the players ball being like, "I might wear this small dress." I, like, went to Nordstrom and got a backup just in case and, like, didn't really know what I was gonna do. And then they found me the green dress in a medium, and so I got to wear this dress that I loved, and it fit perfectly.
First of all, you looked great. I love that you wore that dress. I do think, and this isn't a knock to the stylist at all, but I think that in general, like, soccer players, at least the ones I've been around, are, like, smaller. And so I feel like all the sizes were just, like, extra small and small. And both of us were like, "We're not
Mm.
small and extra smalls. Like, I'm just a medium girl."
I'm not self-conscious, like, you guys don't
No.
have to tell me that I'm little and cute and skinny, like, I'm not self-conscious about it, but I'm not a small.
Yeah, I just wanna fit into the clothes. Like, I just want my size. Like, I'm not self-conscious. I just wanna fit into my size. I
Yeah.
felt the same way too for a bit, but then I was really happy with the
Well,
dress
you
I wore
found an
too.
awesome dress too. Did you love your dress?
I did, but it was also a small, and so when I was, like, putting it on, like, the armpits were, like, not really in the right spot, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm squeezing myself into this dress."
It was, like, really fun nonetheless, like, we got to, like, kind of get a preview of what everybody was wearing the night before, and, like, people were trickling in and out of the styling room,
It was so
and then
fun.
Tuesday was the day of the players' ball, and me and Lynn made our reel together, our
I
TikTok
know
dance,
it's
our content. I hope everybody saw it where we were, like, in our robes and towels, and we, like, spun and did a rock, paper,
so
scissors,
fun.
shoot, spin, and then when we got ready, we, like, did the transition.
I know Marley has, like, the behind the scenes of that. I should post that.
You should post that.
Yeah, I
And
need
I'm, like,
to.
getting I gotta get on my TikTok game. I just keep posting on Instagram, but, like, I gotta do TikTok.
Instagram's good too. I don't know, I just feel like for some reason TikTok is, like, easy to get it out there. I had a great time at the Players Ball as well. For people who don't know, it's a time where, like, our sponsors can come together and, like, we can relax and have a good time, and usually it's at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, but with all the fires that happened in LA in January, it got moved to July, the night before the ESPYs, and it was so fun to be able to, like, just hang out with friends, see everybody get dressed up, everybody looked beautiful. I had to go on stage and speak. It was, like, a last minute thing because Kelly was supposed to do it, and then she had a whole flight debacle, so they asked me to do it. I was very nervous, but I got it done.
You crushed it. And then also, the PA, like, honored the large group of us who have retired
I
in the
know.
last, I guess, year and a half. So a group of us, like, got to go up on stage, and it was, like, me, Kelly, Kling, Tobin,
Becky, but she wasn't
Alex, and
there.
Becky was supposed to be there too. So we, like, did that. We also did like a little red carpet situation where we all got to do like interviews and get our
That
pictures
was
taken.
fun.
And I hope that fans of this podcast saw on our social media all of the videos that we made, Lynn. We made some like really great videos. I wanted to shout out Abby Wambach, who came to the Players Ball, and I interviewed her on the red carpet. And then at the end of the night, Lynn, I wanted to tell this story of what she said to me. It was so nice. She literally was like saying goodbye, and she was just like, I would love to come on your podcast. I would love to help you. Like, you're doing great. And like anything I can do to support, like, I'm here. You have my number. And I just was so touched because I think sometimes with like iconic players like that, like you sometimes like I like played with Abby Wambach. So like obviously I like know that she knows me. But sometimes I just feel like a small child like who has idolized her for years, which is like that is what that was our relationship like earlier on. And now I just think like she has this incredible podcast. She has this like she's like turned her post soccer career into this like really meaningful and like big thing that like touches so many people's lives, and for her to just like acknowledge what I'm doing and like offer her insight and help was just so thoughtful and touching, and I like really appreciated it.
Another thing that was really cool is, Leslie Jones was there to host
Oh
it,
my god,
and
yes.
I got to meet her because, like I said, I was up on stage as well before, and I told her, I was like, "I saw a video of you. My best friend Sam was at the World Cup, and I almost positive that you basically were, like, commentating as you were stealing the ball from her," and she was like, "No way, that was her?" And I was like, "Yeah, you gotta go meet her." So did she meet you?
Yes, it's on social media, her
Oh,
reaction. I showed her the video with the volume turned up of her commentating on me stealing the ball from somebody in
yeah.
the 2019 World Cup final, and she's going like, "Oh, you just took the ball away from her." And then
It's
we like
so funny.
reenacted it together on the red carpet. And she was dying laughing in the video. It's like so funny.
She was so funny because she, like, also had to introduce me on stage, and I guess she was, like, stressed out about saying "Biondolo." She was like, "How do you say this? How do you say this?"
Oh
Like,
yeah,
all
I heard
day.
that.
And I had to just be like, it's fine, like, just, like, muy bien, but bien and then dolo." And so she, like, said it perfect, and she goes, "Okay, great." And then she made that funny joke that was like, she used to have an easy last name, and then she got married, and look at men in our lives just making our lives difficult. And I thought it was so funny.
That is a really good joke, actually. I also wanted to shout out the drag queen who came and sang Pink Pony Club, because when the drag queen started like doing it and performing, we all were like, okay, we're all getting up. Like, we're all gonna go like dance now. And that was the highlight of the whole night. It was such a fun night. Loved so many things about it. It was really fun to get dressed up and see everybody. Did a little networking out there. You know, Sammy Media never sleeps.
Never
And then
sleeps.
the next day, Lynn, we both flew to Lake Tahoe.
Sam was going to Tahoe for her swim race, obviously, and ironically, I was like, "I'm also gonna be in Tahoe that same weekend, for, like, a family reunion slash grandpa's ash spreading." Very different reasons, but it was just so we are tied. Our lives are tied
We are
together.
tied, intricately interwoven, never to be split apart. Do you want to tell us about your family reunion and ceremony?
Yeah, sure. It was amazing. Marley had never been to Tahoe, so we got to take him there, and it was beautiful. My grandparents have a cabin, um, and unfortunately, my grandpa passed away at the beginning of the year, and I didn't get to go to the funeral, so I was not gonna miss this. Um, but it was just really beautiful. We hiked through the meadow and then spread his ashes in around Tahoe, where he wanted to be, because he grew up in Tahoe and we have strong family ties there. So yeah, it was just great. And then Saturday, we had a family reunion up at the lake, and it was amazing. And I just got to see like family I hadn't seen in so long. I haven't been to Tahoe for 11 years, which is crazy. So it was just awesome. Like the lake is beautiful, vibes are high, the weather was great. I got a little tan, got to see some friends and family.
I'm so glad that you got to go, Lynn. I feel like this obviously you had camp during the official NWSL like break for the players, so I'm glad that you got to take some time away and come to LA with me, but then also be there for your family during what I'm sure was like a difficult but also like happy time.
Yeah, it was bittersweet, definitely.
Yeah.
But that's where Grandpa wanted to be, so that's where he is. That's where we put him. Um, but yeah, tell us about yours.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So flew from LA to Tahoe on Wednesday with Kelly O'Hara and her fiance, and Brianna Cope, who's like a surfer from Hawaii and is friends with Kelly, came and met us because she was on our swim team. Um, so we all got to the house. We like, the next couple days, we like went to the lake a few times, did some swims, did a little bit of hiking. Obviously, I was watching the Euros, doing a little bit of work. We met the rest of our team, which were 3 guys I've never met before. Like friends
Oh, there were
through
6 of
Kelly.
you.
There were 6 of us. So
Okay.
3 guys and 3 girls. We were in like it's called like the mixed division.
Okay.
So we like met up with our team. And then on Saturday, we're all ready. Like we've all been training for this for 6 months. The way the race works, it's called the Trans Tahoe Relay. You all swim your 30-minute leg. And then you take turns swimming additional 10-minute legs until you are across the lake. The lake is like 10 or 11 miles wide. Our first swimmer was named Kyle. He like organized the whole thing. His family has like a house in Tahoe. So we were all set to meet our boat driver, because you have to have a boat take the rest of the team, and then they like trail next to the swimmer so that like you're never swimming alone. Otherwise it would be unsafe. So our boat was meant to meet us at the dock at 7 a.m. and Kyle was meant to start at a beach 8 miles away from there and swim his 30-minute leg out. And then we would meet him out in the lake at 30 minutes. But we were going to drive him in the boat and drop him off. So we need all the time that we have to get from the dock to the starting beach so that Kyle can like get to the starting line and start at 7:50. We like needed that 50 minutes. It was 8 miles away and we were in a pontoon that can only go 10 miles an hour. So like we literally needed every minute. We probably should have left even earlier. The boat didn't show up until guess what time?
Well, I saw, so I can't guess.
7:42 the boat shows up. By this point, Kyle is like, okay, I'm not going to make it. So at like 7:15, he decided to drive to the starting line and he just said, get on the boat. I'll start swimming and I'll just hopefully find you guys. So we had like, he put his phone and he turned on Find My Friends and he put it in a dry bag which like floats behind him. And we had his location. We get in the pontoon and we're driving pedal to the metal to the starting
A whole
line.
10 miles per hour.
A whole 10 miles per hour with this boat driver. I start realizing it's like 8:15. And I'm like, Kyle's been swimming for 25 minutes. We're 25 minutes away. If you're swimming for more than 30 minutes and you can't find your boat, the jet ski is supposed to come and like rescue you, because they're like, it is mayhem at the beginning. Like you have to like identify your swimmer and like get their attention and have like find them. But like there's hundreds of swimmers and hundreds of boats in the water. I start to be like, we're not racing. Like I start to be like, we're disqualified.
Straight to panic.
But like for good reason. Like it was past time. Like if Kyle started the race, then he's picked up by a jet ski by now because it's been 30 minutes. Like we're just going to get disqualified and we're just going to have to do this for fun. And that's fine. And in my head I'm like, it's fun. I just trained for this for 6 months. I flew here. I told everybody about it. And it was so funny because on our way to the dock, I said to Kelly, I'm so glad it's the day of, because this whole time I've been thinking anything could go wrong. What if the boat breaks down? What if we don't get to do it? I feel more nervous because I told everybody about it. And now it's actually here. So I'm relieved because we're doing it. Now I'm on the boat like, oh my God, we're not doing it. The boat's late. Kyle's rescued. And we're just going to like do it for fun. Like, how lame. I start to be like, I could cry, but I'm like with 5 other adults. And so it's like, you don't just get to cry because you like got disqualified from a race. Like it's like, grow up. So I just kind of like get a little bit sad and dejected. I text Pat, we don't get to do it. So sad. The boat was late. This stinks, et cetera, et cetera. We start getting closer. We see on Find My Friends that Kyle is still in the water. It's like 8:25. I know that Kyle has his Apple Watch on, so I start texting, Kyle, keep swimming. Kyle, we're coming. Kyle, you can do it. Stay in the water. We're so close. We like literally start being like, we're actually close. Like we actually could do it. Like we're going to get him. We see him in the water swimming after like 45 minutes of swimming. We see him. I'm going, Kyle! We're going to go get him. We go and get him. We find him. Blue Whales. That was the name of our team. We wave our flag around. We have Kyle. He gets on the boat. Kelly jumps in. The relay race is off. It worked out.
Wait, so he just swam more than he was supposed to?
Yeah. He just like swam until he found us. And like the rescuers were like, yeah, it's fine. And he just like had to swim a little long because he couldn't find us because we were late. I don't think it's like technically in the rules, but like it's not like we won. So it doesn't really like matter.
Was it hard?
It was like about the hardness that I anticipated. Like I felt like prepared, like I had trained well and like I pushed myself, but I felt like good and I did it. Our transitions all went well. We all did our 30 minutes, then we all did 10 minutes, and then everybody did 10 more minutes, and then we were close to the finish line. So like I got to finish.
I
So like
know.
my last leg was a little bit long and I like had to keep looking up for the buoys to like swim through the buoys into the finish line. And like we did it and it was so fun and like the blue whales are my whole life. I'm so obsessed and like I'm just so grateful that I got to do it and like that it worked out. And I want to do it again. My team was all like really good. Two of the guys used to play water polo.
Oh,
One of them
nice.
had like the most beautiful swim stroke I've ever seen in my life. It was like a majestic sea creature. And he swam so far during his 30 minutes. It was like crazy.
Yeah, like how far are you going?
I did 0.94 in my 30 minutes, but I think he did like 20% more than that.
Wow. Well, I'm proud of you. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy it's done and I'm happy you can start training for whatever's next.
I know. I'm super excited. And it was like so great to like make new friends.
Yes.
The girl Brianna that now I feel like I'm friends with is so cool. She kept inspiring me and Kelly to like try and make more content. And so we're just out here,
Content creating.
yeah, content creating now. So hit me up. All right. I'm so glad that we got to talk about our week of travels. It was really, really fun to debrief. We have so much Euros, WAFCON, and Copa America to still talk about in this episode, but we do need to take a quick break. So we'll cover all of that in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, let's turn to the Euros now as we head into the semifinals and final. There are only 4 teams left. England versus Italy is today, and Spain versus Germany is tomorrow. Lynn, have you been watching this absolute mayhem?
Yes. Yes, I have. And I'm enjoying every second of it.
I know. It's been such an incredible tournament, like to watch as a fan, because you literally never know what's going to happen. Let's start with England. And first of all, Lynn and I both want to address and condemn the racial abuse that Lioness's defender, Jess Carter, has been receiving. This past weekend, Jess posted a statement on her social media about the situation, stating, from the start of the tournament, I've experienced a lot of racial abuse. Whilst I feel every fan is entitled to their opinion on performance and result, I don't agree or think it's okay to target someone's appearance or race. Lynn, obviously, this is so unacceptable and horrible for Jess to be dealing with. What is your reaction to hearing about this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like disgusted. I think it's horrible. I think it's unacceptable. I feel so bad for Jess. I feel bad for anybody who sees themselves in Jess. I think that at the end of the day, all you want to do is just like play soccer, but even more than that, you just want to be a human being and be seen as a human being. So, I mean, my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to anybody who's faced racial abuse. And I think that it's even more devastating to just, it obviously hasn't come out, but I just know other players have faced this as well. Just know she has like a community that's behind her.
For sure. I mean, several organizations, including Jess's club team, Gotham, and the NWSL as a league, have responded to support her. Jess's teammates have responded, including Lucy Bronze in a press conference, who said, "We're not open to abuse." I really, seeing Lucy speak out so much kind of makes me think about this whole thing where this is happening to Black players and players of color, and they are forced then to speak out and talk about it. And Jess is like removing herself from social media. And I think it's also so powerful for a white player like Lucy to speak about it. I feel as a white person that it is my responsibility to acknowledge and condemn this, because it shouldn't fall all on the Black players to have to deal with it and then speak about it. I think it's just so difficult to speak about, and so must be so scary to have happening to you, that to then have to like put yourself on the line by going public and addressing it is such a burden. And that burden falls on white people too. And so I really, when I saw the way that Lucy was speaking about it, I was like, really, it meant a lot, I think, and was an inspiration to, I think, other white people in the space to condemn it and to say this is wrong. We don't stand for it. So my heart goes out to Jess as well. Obviously, here at the women's game, we stand in full support of Jess and all footballers, especially women of color who should not have to endure this horrendous treatment from people who are like so-called fans.
I think that, like you said, the burden sometimes feels like it's only on Black players and women of color or people of color, and it's just refreshing to know and hear that it is not that. And so I think that is great from you, but also Lucy. And again, I just hope that Jess feels like she's supported, even though it's like horrible. She has so many people around her who are going to support her and uplift her and condemn all this racial abuse.
So England are taking on Italy just a few hours from now after what was an exhausting quarterfinal against Sweden saw them come back from a 2-goal deficit and eventually win in PKs. I personally am still exhausted from watching that game, which went to 7 PK takers each and saw only 3 English players and 2 Swedish players make their kicks. Lynn, I feel like that it felt so many times like Sweden had it in the bag, but then they just like couldn't finish.
On one hand, I was like, Sweden must practice these because their keeper was like saving everything, which also reminded me of like our World Cup, this past World Cup, where their keeper saved all of our PKs. But then they just couldn't convert. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I feel like I'm in like a twilight zone.
I know. I actually want to talk more about the PKs in a second, but before we get to that, I want to talk about this other buzz around the England team, which has been that Serena Wiegman passed a note to the players on the field, and it was like they kind of like showed a couple of players like reading the note. And we got so many emails about this, so I wanted to address it and like tell people our perspective on like what this note might have said. Nat wrote into us and said, "I was wondering what those little pieces of paper that the subs bring in say. They seem top secret. I've seen funny memes about what's on the notes, and maybe they are silly little jokes, but I figured it's probably more practical than that." Nat, yeah, I think it's like a new formation or like
Mhm.
maybe a note with like directions for a player or a tactic that the team needs to change. Lynn, what would you
Yeah.
think that the note would say?
Yeah, same thing. Or if one team is like getting more set pieces and you need to mark a dangerous mark, being like you make sure this person is picking up this girl. Like
Yeah,
it's just like tactical changes and information that you can't get when the game is like going on and not everybody can like go to the side to
right. And it's loud in there. So it's
it's
not like you
loud.
can just yell out, go to a 3-5-2. Like
Yeah.
you have to like communicate it to even the player furthest away from the coach, which is just like yelling doesn't really help.
Yeah, so, like,
Um,
in small moments when you can, like, just continue to pass the note on and
yeah.
they get glances at it. Because the worst thing is when, like, you look up and the coach is just yelling and, like, waving their arms, and you're like, "I don't know what you're saying to me."
And I can't run over there.
Yeah, like, I have no idea what's going on.
I know. I do have a funny story, but one time I got a note when I played for the Courage and it was just X's in like a new formation. So the note came to me and I was supposed to then like deliver the new formation to everybody on the team. But I like couldn't figure out which way the X's were like I think I was like holding it upside down or sideways or something. And I just was like in game mode, so I like couldn't slow myself down to like focus and figure it out. So I didn't figure it out. I'm pretty sure we won and we were like totally fine. Like I feel like when we played for the Courage, we were always like up a goal.
Well, I also, like,
So
don't remember ever changing formations ever. Like, we lived
yeah,
and died by the 4-4-2 box.
yeah. I don't really know what was going on that day, but the notes don't always work.
I also have a funny story, it's about your sister. We were, playing with the national team and the other team got a note and Christy was close by and she snatched their note away. And the player was like, "What the hell?" And she like literally took their note and tore it up so they couldn't get the information. I was like, "You're crazy. I like that."
That girl is a crazy girl. That's our take on the note, Nat. So back to England, who have kind of become this like I wouldn't categorize them as a wild card, but like it feels like in this tournament they unexpectedly are a wild card. Like you kind of don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, they're still a favorite. They're like in the semifinal. They're playing Italy, who they should beat and head to the final. But it's been such an up and down road for England. They lost their opening game. Then in the quarterfinal, they had to claw their way back from a 2-goal deficit against Sweden to win in PKs. But I almost feel at this point in the tournament for England, it's like we've already been through like the worst. Like we have had so many doubts cast about us. We have been down. We have clawed our way back. And I feel like when you kind of have that mentality of like, we've been through it all already. This is just making us stronger. It might just like carry them right on through.
Yeah, I think that, like, it's either gonna go one of 2 ways, obviously, that was, like, dumb. There's only
They're either gonna win or they're gonna lose, and
and that they're
those
gonna
are the options.
but I mean, like, they're either gonna, like, just continue this on and, like, it's gonna be great, or it's gonna be, like, emotional whiplash, like, something that they've had to, like, struggle through, like, their last game. You know when you get, like, such a high and then you're like, "Woo," and then you, like, come down?
Yeah, when, like, the emotional team has this, like, incredible, like, upset and they're,
Yes.
like, riding, but then they're so depleted for the next game.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're playing Italy, who are, like, not a pushover at all, but they're also not, like, a perennial powerhouse. They've been, like, a dark horse this tournament so far. They beat Norway in their quarterfinal thanks to a brace from captain Christiana Girelli, who was in happy tears after they secured their spot in the semifinal. And Lynn, Italy's domestic professional league only went fully professional in 2022. Talk about how this tournament for a team like this now, like, we saw how big winning the Euros was for England in 2022, how much that changed and, like,
Mhm.
grew women's football in their country. What could Italy, even just being in the semifinal, do for Italy?
I think it's already gonna change it. I think you see the same
Yeah.
thing with, like, Switzerland, like, and
Yeah.
how all of their fans are, like, in the streets, like, cheering for them, and I think you're gonna it's both, like, obviously, winning the Euros would be incredible, but even making it this far is already incredible, and it just shows that there's a need and a want for a women's league that they now haven't since 2022, but, like, pour investment into it, like, it's gonna
Yeah.
boom. So go on, Italy.
I know, so fun and, like, already such a huge success story for them, this tournament. Then tomorrow for the other semifinal, we'll see Spain, who I think are still the favorites in some ways. I mean, I don't really know what to say anymore. Like, my predictions have been right, have been wrong. I don't know. Spain obviously are still an incredible team, but they're gonna be playing their toughest opponent yet with Germany, who have somehow battled their way to the semifinal despite multiple red cards and playing down a player for much of multiple games. They survived this penalty kick shootout against France. Um, they must be exhausted, but I think that their success is partly just because Anne-Catherine Berger is like, she steps up in big moments. Like, she's a big player in big games. I felt like she had a little bit of a rocky day against Sweden in the group stage. They let in 4 goals. Sweden's a great team.
Mhm.
But then AKB stepped up huge for Germany in their quarterfinal. She made save after save during the game and then channeled Alyssa Nair during the shootout. She saved 2. She made one of her own.
I played with Anne, at Gotham last year, and, I mean, Anne is like a freak. Like, she'll just come up with, like, a save that you're like, "How did you do that? And why did you do that to me?" You're like, "I see this gap, I'm gonna, like, put the ball right there," and then she's like, "No, you're not," and it's upsetting. I think what also makes Anne, like, such an amazing player as well is just the way she sees the game and how much training she does, but she's, like, really good with her feet as well. And so I think that she sees the game not just as a keeper, but also kinda like a field player, which
Yeah.
gives you, like, a different perspective of you know exactly what the opponent is, like, trying to do, and then obviously she's just executing, which great players love big moments, and she's just doing big things.
Exactly. I know. And Katrin Berger is like a special, special player for Germany. And I think if they are to beat Spain, she's going to have to do that all over again and have like an incredible game.
Well, another thing I wanted to say, which is, like, crazy too, is that she obviously came to Gotham from
Yeah.
Chelsea, and she wasn't playing at Chelsea. So she, in the last 2 years, has, like, really risen to, like, the top, and now she's, like, at this world stage, and she, like, wasn't in with Germany, I believe, when she was with Chelsea, and now she's back in, and she's doing, like, all these incredible things, and so, I don't know, sometimes some players just leave you speechless, and Anne right now is definitely one of them.
Anne is definitely one of them. And I hope she sees this, Lynn, because she actually saw a clip of me saying that I thought France was going to win. And she responded to us on Instagram. And I was literally so sad and so embarrassed. So I'm a huge Anne fan. Love her so much. Um, okay, what we do need to talk about, Lynn, is the penalty kicks. I feel like this has been
Okay.
like another
Yeah.
talk of the town. I know we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but in this Euros tournament, there have been 41 penalty kicks and only 24 of them have been scored. That's across both like regular play and shootouts. But that percentage, 24 of 41, is 58%. And compared to a normal average across soccer games, During regular play, the average is 85%, and during a shootout, it drops to 76%. So we're talking a 20 to 30% drop in this specific Euros tournament in penalty kicks. What's up with that? What do you think is going on?
I have no idea. I'm trying to think of like where players are in their seasons. Are people tired and not just like physically tired, but emotionally tired?
Part of me also wants to be like, it's the goalkeeping. Like they're doing, but people are just like missing the target.
Why no?
Which, like, I feel so terrible about. Like, I wouldn't, if I was still playing, I wouldn't even be talking about this because I would be like so like terrified of like jinxing myself. And like, it's so hard. I'm not trying to be like everybody stinks. Penalty kicks are easy. They're not. Penalty kicks are so hard and so emotionally exhausting. You're so right to say that. And what I will say is it's such a mental grind that I think sometimes in a shootout specifically, when the person before you misses, you're almost like, "Oh my god, like you can miss." And I think that then in their heads they're being like, "Don't miss, don't miss, don't miss." And you can't say that.
Yeah, it also like makes me think that people aren't practicing PKs or like putting an emphasis on that going into tournaments. Maybe they are. I have no idea, but I do. I think that like practicing over and over and over as if you're in a tournament, like so somebody like yelling at you or somebody like you said before you're practicing and somebody before you has missed and there's like stakes at the end of that. I think really helps when you
Yeah.
go into these big moments. Making sure that you're like have done your own routine and you stick to that routine. So that could be it, but it is a little crazy.
It's uncharacteristic and it's surprising, but it's making for a lot of great drama.
Oh yeah, me when I was watching on the couch, I was like, "Oh my gosh, hands over mouth." Shocked.
Literally shocked to my core. This brings us to our Olipop gut check of the week, Lynn. Got myself a Dr. Goodwin today.
Ridge Rush. Cheers.
Olipop gut check of the week, Lynn. Who do you have making the Euros final? England or Italy, and then Spain or Germany?
Oh, I think England is gonna win. I'm gonna say Germany.
Wow.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Good. I hope Anne sees that. I think it could happen. I think Germany could do it, but my head tells me to say Spain, and then I will just deal with the emotional repercussions if I'm wrong.
I know my head also tells me to say Spain, but for some reason my heart says Germany, and I think that sometimes in these tournaments you just need some heart.
I love that so much. If Germany wins, I'm going to take Anne Ketrin Berger out to a big dinner and be like, I was wrong.
She's like, "I don't want your dinner.
I don't really know you that well. I'm like, not interested."
Not interested in this small talk."
All right, that was our Olipop gut check of the week. Be sure to let us know your predictions for who's going to make it to the Euros final. We need to take one more quick break, everybody, so don't leave us. Welcome back, everybody. All right, the Copa América Femenina, the South American version of the Euros, has their group stages wrapping up this week as we head into the semifinals. So far, we've seen strong performances from Brazil and Argentina, as well as players like Mayra Ramirez of Colombia and Claudia Martinez of Paraguay, who is just 17 years old and already setting records. But the tournament has made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Last week, Brazilian players Caroline and Marta spoke out about the subpar conditions teams have been subjected to, such as having to warm up in the locker room to preserve the field because officials said the stadiums were already being used twice in one day. The governing body of this tournament, CONMEBOL, which is South America's CONCACAF, Europe's UEFA, has responded by fixing this situation so that players do get to warm up on the fields, and they cited the feedback that they got. But what I want to talk about here, Lynn, is how exhausting this must be for the players. Like Caroline sees what's happening, recognizes that she's a player who's in a position to speak out about it with like a globally recognized name and platform. And she kind of like, in a way, is like putting her neck on the line to call out this big organization in the middle of her tournament where she's expected to be playing her very best, taking to social media and like having to tell us all that the conditions aren't good enough. And she's already under all this pressure to play well, and I feel bad for players who have to do this. We talked about this in a way earlier, and I want the governing bodies and the people in positions of power to advocate more on behalf of the players so that the players don't have to keep doing it themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's a couple of things that are like concerning for me. One, like you said, she's having to put her neck on the line. She's putting herself out there. She recognizes there's something wrong. And as a player, I think that, like you said, it gets exhausting. You want to be your best self, you want to be your best player, and you want to just focus on the task at hand. I think that it's great that they rectified the situation, but it shouldn't have been like that in the first place. I also think while a tournament that is going on at the same time, which is the Euros, and you're a player witnessing that, and you are having a vastly different experience, I think it's disheartening. And I think that we are at a position where I think federations need to do better, um, especially federations that have a lot of women of color. We just talked about like racial abuse, and I'm not saying that these players are necessarily being abused, but there's a discrepancy in what's going on, and I think that that also gets exhausting. That between media coverage and access to the game and investment in the game in these countries, like why aren't we pouring investments and stuff into them? And I applaud Caroline for doing that, but I also like challenge these federations to do better.
Yes, I completely agree. I think what I can take from that as somebody who is like working at a media company is to say to Caroline, like, there is more coverage of the Euros and there is more money being pumped into the Euros. And even us, an American media organization with American fans,
Mhm.
are covering the Euros more. And it is an access thing. It
Yeah.
is the games are so easily accessible. It's in the news a lot more. But I also have a responsibility to ensure that we're giving appropriate and like dedicated coverage to tournaments that are happening in other parts of the world that are at this level.
Yeah.
And so I think making those connections across what's happening to Jess Carter, what's happening with Caroline in South America right now, it is all part of the same conversation of who are we propping up, who are we tearing down, who are we giving coverage to.
Like you said before, it's all of our responsibility. It's not just on Caroline, it's not just on Brazil, it's not just on the teams that are taking part in this tournament. It's all of our collective responsibility to make sure that we are moving in the right direction and making sure everybody has a safe space to play and access to the game, and everybody has access to the game.
And the opportunity to play their best.
Exactly.
Like, the opportunity to be safe, of course, have a good experience doing this, but to be the best that they can be, and it sounds to me like the tournament being put on by CONMEBOL, the Copa América Femenina, Lindsay and I talked about this last Friday, is probably not up to the same standards that the tournament in Europe is going on right now. So I also like am grateful that Caroline and Marta spoke about this because otherwise we may not have known. And I think that it's really, really important to talk about it and to hold these federations and confederations, the larger bodies who are
Yeah.
putting on the tournaments, to a higher standard. Um, and we know firsthand, Lynn, how hard it can be to like stand up to somebody with what feels like more power than you. But I hope that Caroline knows that a lot of people have her back in the situation and that hopefully in this instance she feels that speaking out helped. But it can be really scary to do that. And
Yeah.
again, like, shouldn't just be on the players. Everybody should be responsible for this. So while the Copa America hopefully is dealing with some of these shortcomings in this tournament, there was another really thrilling weekend of soccer for everybody watching the women's AFCON tournament. That's Africa's version of this regional tournament we're talking about. The Euros and Copa America are also going on at the same time. Nigeria seems to just be running away with this tournament. They've yet to concede a single goal, even when they played against Zambian forwards Barbara Banda and Rachel Kundananji. The semifinals are today. The Super Falcons will play defending champions South Africa, and hosts Morocco will play Ghana. And then we've got the final this Saturday. I feel like it's really cool to see so many NWSL players playing in this women's AFCON tournament. What is that like for you as a fellow NWSL player to see so many of your like peers and colleagues spread
Yeah.
out all over the world?
Yeah, well, I think it's really cool to see how many tournaments are like going on right now. But I think that what's really exciting is in my playing career. I mean, I've been in this league for 10 years, 11 years, I don't know. But right now, in the past couple of years, like how many African players are just like tearing up the league right now. And um I just think it's an exciting moment to recognize, like, different cultures and different styles of play and seeing, like, how they translate across different leagues.
Mm.
I feel like I'm, like, invested in all of the tournaments because we have so many different players and nationalities across all tournaments right now. It's, like, super exciting.
Well, the funnest part about watching the Euros for me has been watching my friends on England.
Yeah.
And so I think that like for our American audience to like know some of these girls playing in the Copa America, playing in that women's AFCON tournament, it's so fun to then see how they're doing, to watch them play, to pick them out on the field and be like, she plays for my team. I
Yeah.
think that that kind of like familiarity and like feeling like you know them, I think that's why like doing interviews with players is so cool and so fun because then I like cheer for so many people. But I also just think it's so great for the audience to then feel connected to
Yeah.
games that are going on halfway across the world.
I know it's just like this web of connections.
I know. We're just one big happy family. Okay, let's go over to the inbox. We got an email from Ty Lee that reads, "Hi, Samlin and Becky. My name is Ty Lee. I'm from California, and I have a question for you about the Euros. This is my first time watching and truly even knowing about the tournament in general. This is my living under a rock segment. Love that shout out. And it really blew my mind that European players have a whole other world championship in their 4-year cycle. My main question is from a US women's national team perspective. Do you think it's better to not have this extra tournament and have more time to group together for the World Cup and Olympics? Or do you think it's advantageous and the European teams are benefited by having a third big championship in the cycle? I also have to add that I'm from Fresno, California, specifically, aka the same hometown as Leg Sleeve Lynn. I wanted to give Lynn a special shout out and thank her for the Central Valley representation she brings to the national team. I would also like to know if she has something she specifically misses or remembers fondly about her hometown. Thank you all for everything you're doing in the women's game. Best, Tylee."
Oh, Tylee, Fresno girl. I think for players that like given a break, like they don't have a summer right now and they're just like back in and then they go straight back into their season, that's kind of tiring. So trying to find off time to like recover whatever ailments that you have is tough. But I think that you get really good at tournaments by doing tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
CONCACAF isn't doing this tournament right now, but we do have this like qualifying tournament
Mm,
that's used to qualify for the World Cup and the Olympics. And it is a similarly run, like 5 or 6 game tournament. I think it's weird that it's in a different year than all the other regional tournaments.
that
Like, I
is,
think yours will be next year to
yeah.
prepare for 2027. So that part feels like it's maybe not, kind of at the same, I guess, level.
Feels like a miss, actually.
Yeah, it's like used for like this specific qualification purpose. So it has a different purpose than just winning a trophy. It feels like.
Yeah. I feel like playing in the NWSL really helps when you are in the Olympics because of how tight the games are together. Like
Mm-hmm.
NWSL is mayhem a lot and the Olympics is mayhem. I think that Euros has a similar schedule to the World Cup where they're more spread out. I think getting on that cadence of like of the same cadence of Euros and World Cup as well as like making it out of a group stage and like knowing that it's kind of like two different tournaments happening at the same time because first task is like get out of the group and then second task is like win the rest
Yeah.
of the games. And again, I think that you just get better over time when you've done that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I think that US soccer tries to emulate tournament style play with the small domestic tournaments that they put on, like She Believes.
Yeah.
And you guys also had Gold Cup. It's not the Euros, but it's a big deal. But it's like that was a
Yeah.
5-game tournament. So I'm a little bit like we do have tournaments, but I just don't think that they've been given the same kind of like prestige
Yeah.
as these other regional tournaments. This is a really good question.
I'm going to answer the next part.
Do you have something you specifically miss or remember fondly about Fresno?
Yeah. So when I visit my dad, who still lives in Fresno, there's two things that I always get, and it's sushi from Edoya and Doghouse Grill, a tri-tip sandwich from there. And they're so good. Marley, last time we went there, he wanted Edoya so bad. It's just like specific sushi roll that we get. I think it's the island roll. And I was like, no, 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 we're gonna get it with my dad for dinner. Like, don't get it now, it's fine. And then we didn't get it. I have yet to live it down. He won't ever let me forget it. So
Yeah, Lynn talks about the tri-tip from the Fresno area literally all the time. And I like feel like I've like never had a proper tri-tip because I've like never been to her house to have tri-tip.
you, I just feel like people don't have tri-tip besides California, but like Doghouse tri-tip is so good.
Okay, all our Fresno people, let us know if you agree. Tylee, thank you so much for writing in with the question. Don't forget, everybody, you can always write to us at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. All right, Lynn, we're winding down. Do you have a sick and tired for us? Maybe a travel-related sick and tired?
Yeah, I do. I have a
Yeah,
travel-related
of
sick and tired.
course.
Okay, when we're traveling all the time, our trash cans are every other week, we have the recycling that goes out. And right now when we travel, it's like every week we travel, the recycling is that time. So our recycling, it's so annoying. Our recycling keeps piling up and it just keeps piling up. And I'm like, why am I so unlucky? It's been like a month.
I hear ya. And you know what? We don't have to justify sick and tired. This is the segment. We don't have to apologize for being annoyed about something. This is the only time.
You're right.
I will just say I was traveling all week and I just felt like I didn't really have a good cup of coffee at all. Actually, hilariously, so looking forward to my coffee this morning. I make an Americano, so I like pull a shot of espresso and then pour hot water in it, but I didn't like hit the button to turn on the hot water maker thing. So I poured cold water into my shot of espresso and I would go outside to walk the dogs thinking that I have a cup of hot coffee in my hand and it was like lukewarm cold coffee because I just poured room temperature water into it. So I like ruined my own comeback. Frowning is over. Let's leave our listeners with a good vibe before we go, Lynn.
Okay, can you go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So I got back yesterday and I was really tired. I did have to wake up at 2:45 in the morning to make my flight from Reno to Denver to Burlington. But I got home and Vermont Green, the team that I coached earlier this year, the men's team was in a playoff game. So Pat and I went and we watched and they were losing 2-0. And then they came back and they won 3-2 in like a 10-minute span. And now they're in the next playoff round this weekend.
Oh my
And I'm
gosh,
so excited for them. And it was
congratulations.
like so much fun. I was like jumping up and down when they scored.
They get so many fans.
So many fans. Lynn, it's so fun. Vermont Green is lit.
Okay. Good vibe for me. I feel like a lot of things have happened to me that are good vibes, but lately, at nighttime, me and Marley, I feel like are like two schoolgirls who have just been giggling. Like just we would just talk and giggle. And when we were in LA, we trekked in early to the hotel and they were like, we only have 2 double beds. And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And in the middle of the night at like 12 a.m., we were jumping on the beds, like jumping from bed to bed. And I wish there was a camera in there
Oh,
because it was so fun. And lately I feel like we've just been like 2 kids jumping on the bed. And that's my good
oh,
vibe.
Lynn. That's so sweet. You guys are like so happy and in love. Okay, everybody, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. We have so much content coming out this week. It's kind of crazy. We have a very special interview with Rose Lavelle as part of our series highlighting NWSL Rivals Weekend on behalf of our friends at Ally. That's coming out on Thursday. We also have a ton of Euros coverage, including live reaction shows after both semifinals and after the final on Sunday. Plus, we've got a bonus check-in episode with Becky dropping on Friday to dive deep into more details of the Euros and all of these tournaments that are going on right now. So, if you want to see all of that, please make sure you're subscribed to this podcast feed, to our YouTube channel. If you are listening to this on audio, like Lynn told you earlier, so you could see her little rings, please watch this on YouTube sometime. I think it's really, really fun to just see all of our hand movements. You can also follow along with us across all social media at Women's Game MIB. Subscribe to our newsletter, do all of the things. Thank you all so much. And we'll see you like literally in 2 seconds.
Yes. Goodbye. I'm Lynn Biondolo.
And I'm Sam Ewis.
Love you. Bye.